I hate what Diddy is going through. And I think a lot of it could have been avoided if he were more conscious about how he treated people. I believe clothing entrepreneur, you name it, Diddy's done it. But what he's done lately has overshadowed all of his accomplishments. All of these allegations. I'm sure many of y'all have seen some of the allegations. I want to talk about that tonight. I'm not here to condemn, but I'm here to learn. I'm here to dialogue as a family. What can we learn from this? I mean, it's just painful to watch. It's a train wreck. It's just very hard to watch, and I want to talk about it. Y'all have seen recently the allegations that started with Cassie, who said for decades she was the victim of Sean Diddy Combs, and she alleged in her legal documents before they settled that all this abuse began when she was 19 years old. She alleged that Diddy participated in sex trafficking, human trafficking, sexual battery, sexual assault, and gender motivated violence. Then they raided two of his homes in California and Miami. And all of these are allegations. He has not been charged with the crime. But we're talking about a 54-year-old billionaire who's been very successful. And up until now, everything just seems to have come to a screeching halt. Somebody asked me the other day, why would a 54-year-old billionaire get into some kind of trouble like this? Now, the assumption with that question is that just because you have money, that you are not going to get into trouble. Money, unfortunately, is just a tool. It's not something that's going to help your moral compass, because if you had vices and proclivities prior to getting the money, chances are that money is going to only amplify your vices. What does it profit a man? Mark 8:36. What does it profit a man to gain the whole world and mess around and lose your soul? And as I said, he has not been convicted of a crime. However, there are some precautionary things that we can take away from this incident, because all of us have been in places where we've been accused of something, but we can take some universal principles, whether guilty or not guilty, that I think can help many of us to navigate and make better decisions in life, period. And so one of the first things that came to my mind is this. I heard somebody say this about Sean Combs. He stayed at the party too long. He stayed at the party too long. What does that mean? What does that mean? It means that as a young record mogul, it's expected that you go out to parties and you kick it and you entertain and you go out. But as you get older, watch this, as you get older, there are some things that you cease to do because it's no longer beneficial. And it puts you, the bigger you are, the bigger the target is on your back. The higher up you go, the harder the fall. And to make better decisions. How many of y'all agree that it's possible to stay at the party too long? Put a thumbs up if you believe that as you mature, you can't do all the things you used to do when you were younger because it's not advantageous for you. You're a greater risk of losing what it is you work for if you keep on doing risque behavior that should have changed with maturity. Y'all in agreement with that? I can't go all the places I used to go. It's just not advantageous for me. That's my initial thought. Let me talk about this. Let me go to number two. You've got to grow up eventually. Can somebody type that in the comments? You've got to grow up eventually, right? We all have to mature. I can't do what I did in 23 at 55. I can't do at 55 what I did at 35. I've got to mature. It's biblical. 1 Corinthians 13:11 says, when I was a child, what? I spoke like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. But when I became a man, I gave up childish ways. There are some things that we're going to have to put behind us when it is that we mature. Some people grow older, but they never mature. And when you do not mature and make better decisions and put childish ways behind you, there are consequences for making ill-informed decisions or continuing to be in a perpetual adolescent state and not acting your age. We got to act our age. Right? You can't, there's a lot of successful people that know how to have fun. I love seeing LL Cool J and Magic Johnson and Samuel Jackson. Every now and then they'll post a picture where they take an annual trip together as married couples. But you don't see LL still out at the clubs. You see him with his wife. You see Denzel with his wife. They're going on vacations. There are things that you can do to have fun. But at some point, you got to come out the party and you have to grow up. What do y'all think about that? Am I being wrong? Am I being wrong to think that at some point we have to grow up? We got to mature. You cannot continue to be an old man with dye in your hair, hanging around with people old enough to be your children. You know, at some point you got to come in. You got to come in the house and let the kids be kids and let adults be adults. When I was growing up, my mom always used to say, a child has to be in a child's place. You can't, adults and children don't need to be in the same place in terms of entertainment or even thought process. We have to grow up eventually. Grown folk, you don't have to alleviate fun, but you have to elevate fun. When you become a Christian, you don't have to alleviate fun, but you have to elevate fun. You have to pick and choose. Is this going to be a good look for me? Is this good for me in this season, in this age, in this stage that I'm in? Because watch this, I don't want people to misconstrue what I'm doing and it come back to bite me. Number 3, here's another principle that I think we can learn from Diddy's situation. And that is, whatever you put out is coming back to you. Can somebody type, whatever you sow is what you're going to reap? If you put out good, good's coming back at you. If you put out bad, bad's coming back at you. And there's been a lot of people that have made accusations and allegations against Diddy about how he treated them in business, how he treated them in life. And those things are coming back. When Cassie filed her report, there were people lined up with similar allegations. And it's up to the court of law to see if those things are true. He's innocent until proven guilty. But at the same time, if people are saying the same thing about you over and over again, I heard somebody once say, if somebody calls you a horse one time, you can ignore it. Somebody calls you a horse twice, you might be able to shake it off. But if they call you a horse 3 or 4 times, you might need to get a saddle because you might be a horse. Whatever you sow is going to come back to you. Galatians 6 and 7 says, do not be misled. You cannot mock the justice of God. You will always harvest what you plant. Whatever you put out is coming back at you. Are y'all with me tonight? You got to be careful how you treat folk. My grandmama said this a long time ago. She said, be careful how you treat people because you don't know what old dog you're going to have to kiss on your way back up. What goes up can come down. We must be humble and make sure that we treat everybody good on our way up because you never know when you're going to have to come back down. Whatever you sow is going to come back to you. That's a universal principle. Some people call it karma. But in the scripture, as Christians, we believe that whatever you sow, God is not mocked. Whatever man sows, that shall he reap. I hate what Diddy is going through. And I think a lot of it could have been avoided if he were more conscious about how he treated people. I believe this principle, y'all. I believe this principle. Love everybody, trust a few, and do harm to no one. Love everybody, trust a few, and do harm to nobody.